true.
De nuevo, Tennille, por la oportunidad. Dan, es un honor, y Matthew también. Quisiera empezar preguntándoles a todos ustedes sobre qué fue lo más destacado de Chasing Ghosts sobre el poder mantener las emociones, porque cada vez que reflejan las emociones, siempre es algo inminente que siempre se inmortaliza. ¿Cómo inmortalizan las emociones a través de esta película?
Hey, that's a good question from John because also I just watched the movie and yes, he's right. Whoever want to say it first, Daniel, Dan, or Matthew, how do you handle the emotions? Because we know that this movie is like a roller coaster, and there are so many emotive moments, so many emotions for all the caliber. So yes, how do you handle it? Whoever wants to talk.
I think I'm going to punt that to Dan because I think that you definitely brought so many different emotions. So maybe Dan, you would want to get us started on that.
Well, thank you, and thank you guys for having us. What a great opportunity. Really appreciate it. For me, it always goes back to the team. It was such a supportive environment and a supportive team. So I think, Tennille, you and I spoke about this role, this part, this movie, maybe last year, November, October. So from then, it was basically just jumping into the script. And I know I texted Matt and Tennille many times over the pre-production time of, directions that we wanted to take and the things that was going through Clay's mind, during the happenings and the sequences of the movie. So with that, it was just such a supportive environment. And, when you have that team working with you and supporting and guiding you, it makes it brings things to life in a fashion where the emotions are there and you feel them. And there were a couple of times of like decompressing after scenes, making sure that we hit the mark. But as far as like how we handled that, it was all in the execution. I think so much goes on behind the scenes of putting specific scenes being shot in a particular place to garner the full emotional experience. So it really just goes back to the planning and the execution of it. So
Yeah. And if I could just add a little bit, I feel like Matt, he was our co-writer and director, and he did a phenomenal job giving each of the actors a breakdown of benchmark characters, so other characters that we could observe and learn from. And then also different colors that represent kind of the mood or the vibe of the person, and then like a song playlist. So I definitely think that Matt did a great job, getting all the actors to where he's seen them, and then they could take it, and build upon it from there. But yeah.
And Matt, how do you do it? By the way, no, as you know, we told one of your previous movies, if I can have you. And man, it's great because now we had watched both of them. Yeah, man, how do you manage to get amazing performance not only from Tennille and Dan that did amazing for all the cast? And yes, Tennille, you're right. I really like the colors, the writing, and Dan is right. I like the editing. The editing makes this movie worse because Matt, in both movies are a puzzle. In fact, if I can have you guys watching it and I was like, okay, what is this? Because yes, it's a thriller, but it's not a thriller at all. It's a comedy, and of course at the end I get the stroke. And with this movie, the same because sometimes it's a sci-fi, sometimes it's a thriller. How do you do it, man?
Well, I think for me, it's getting on the performance level, it's getting trust. like figuring out a way to get your actor to trust you. Because if you don't have that, then you're not going to have any kind of performance that's worth watching. That's interesting. So I think like, first off, it's getting the actor to trust you. And I think my favorite kinds of movies are puzzles. So in the writing phase, I with my writing partner, he and I will just kind of like start at the end and work our way backwards, kind of reverse engineer it to get a movie that it's fun to watch. Because I like to be entertained when I see a movie. You know, like deep dramas are great, you know, every now and then, but I like to be entertained. So to find something that's going to entertain the way that I get entertained. And I'm glad that you think that the two have been like puzzles and entertaining. So I hopefully not puzzled like in a frustrating way that you can't put it together. Okay, good. But yeah, I think that getting your actors to trust you is the number one. It's number one. That's for me.
And man, you managed even to do in this movie an entertaining drama because it's so dramatic and so scenes. What? And in a tragic way, in fact. But I will let my friend Jhon. Jhon, gracias y qué pena ahí, tuve que hacer una pregunta.
No, no, tranquilo. De hecho, hay algo que sí de parte de César mientras se la realizo a ellos, que pregunta sobre cuál es el legado que deja esta película luego que pasan unos 4 o 5 años que actualmente el cine de terror está, bueno, y también el thriller, el suspenso está dando mucho de qué hablar. ¿Cuál es el legado que deja esta película? ¿Para qué países quiere visibilizarlo más? Porque acá en Latinoamérica, pues todavía no se ha esparcido, pero nosotros tuvimos la oportunidad de verlo, pero ¿cuáles serían las expectativas?
Y puedo decir que pues una de las metas del canal y las mías es esparcirlo. Okay, in this channel we're happy because with your production and another production and another movies of Midnight, sorry, I forget the name of the company, sorry. But
Midnight Releasing.
Sorry, Midnight Releasing. It's too late now here. We had shown like another face from terror because yes, we got like the Hollywood productions and we got like indie with more money, but this is like the really indie terror, really different ways to show it. And Jhon got an interesting question because we know that this movie is now shown more in North America. It's difficult to enter another markets. In fact, one of the reasons why Jhon got the channel and I work on a movie festival is to bring these kind of movies. But yeah, Matthew, on Tennille and Dan, what are like the objective? You can say all the word, but there is like a specific country or continent that you want to show this movie for the message, because I really like at the end, I want to spoil, but I really like at the end what happens that this movie gives hope. It's a very hard movie, but gives hope.
Yeah, so I definitely think that where we're receiving favorable reaction is India. So if we could pick one region that we can't currently share this movie with, it would be India. We recently won a Best Feature and Dan won a Best Actor award, along with some other acting awards. So that was from India. So there's 1 billion people there. And what we are learning from a lot of our audience is that they feel like the movie is relatable. You know, if it's not drug addiction, it could be addiction, you know, to something else. And so, you know, even if you haven't gone through it personally, you may know somebody, you know, close to you. So just this day and age, the relatability. So I don't know if India is struggling with opioids or, you know, any other issues like that, but I do think that that would be my country of choice. So Matt, where would you like to see this?
I mean, I honestly, my heart, you know, I was a Spanish major in college. My heart belongs, my second heart, I should say, in Mexico. I would love this because I know that there is quite a bit of, you know, the cartel and the drugs down there, and I know that's a big thing down there. And I think that for me, being a recovering addict myself, I would just love to spread this message of hope. I mean, it's not very, like you said, it's not like very hopeful, but it's just enough to where I would love to spread it down to Mexico, South America, Central America, that kind of thing. Spanish-speaking countries.
And where are Andres and Jhon? Where are you guys calling from?
In fact, I wanna tell you this. Also, like something that we can do before this interview, because Matthew and Tennille and Dan, of course, I still working on that movie festival. So if you wanna talk about distribution or something, we can talk. Don't worry. It happened. In fact, that movie festival ended last week, but we start working on next year. We are here in Colombia, but we live in the border with Venezuela. So it's a very, in fact, like Mexico and any border, it's a very complicated border. But yeah, Dan, we really, in fact, I want to show this movie there. I can promise that if we showing or not, but we can try it. And Tennille, you're right. In the last festival, I watched some movies from India, and they like heavy subjects. They like real stuff. So yeah, Dan, in what country do you wanna show this movie?
I would say yeah. I mean, India for sure. I think Asia. I think would be just interesting. Their ideas of supernatural might be completely culturally different than ours, and same thing with just the layout of the movie, and just to see if it would reach audiences there.
De hecho, bueno, tengo una pregunta que va para Tennille y para Dan. Es algo que me pareció muy interesante. Hay varios paralelismos. Primero, en la escena del teléfono de Dan, que es una escena muy sublime, que es toda la tensión. ¿Bajo qué estilo de inspiración de personaje o más en esta escena pudiste realizarlo? Porque es una escena muy fría, muy tenebrosa, en el sentido de que toda esa tensión se carga ahí, más con el sonido, que el arreglista fue increíble. Y en Tennille, ¿bajo qué estándar conoció, por ejemplo, a tu personaje? Por ejemplo, ella es la mujer de las serpientes, que yo reflejo ahí. Entonces, ¿qué opinas si es verdad su personaje, si ella fue inspirada en la mujer de las serpientes, por el pendiente, por todo?
Y es más, lástima que no esté solo Luchi, porque me gustó mucho el personaje de él también. Ok, esa se la haré a Matthew. ¿Listo? Ok, I add something because Jhon got a really great question. First, let's start with the women. Tennille, is it real that, because I don't know where Jhon saw it, but it was great to ask, if your character was inspired or you're inspired in the Woman of the Serpents for, the pendant, something. And for that is the same question, not the Woman of the Serpents, but in what actors or characters you inspired, man. And in fact, Jhon is talking from that beautiful scene, by the way, of the phone call, man.
Oh, man.
Really high tension, really caring. And Matthew, I want to ask you something, because we don't got here the amazing solo Luchi, but we need to know how I do inspired to do that character, man. But first, Tennille.
Yes. So we basically needed her to have a supernatural feel to her because she had to summon Dion. And so it was really thought that I was sort of like a witch. And then the serpent just kind of came out as the character evolved. So I think what had happened was I found the gold earrings on clearance for a very cheap price, and they were gold. And we were trying to almost go with a more Grecian look. So I had like the kind of vines in my hair and around my arm. So it was kind of, Grecian, but then serpent. So the makeup artist, as she was doing my makeup, she just kept looking and adding more and more. And I think, when she added the lines to my lips, that just really completed then that whole serpent look. And so, yeah, I think that the character was unique. I don't know, Matt, if there's any characters. I mean, I guess
there's definitely the Medusa.
Yes.
Medusa.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, that was something that for me wasn't necessarily in the initial version of Angel, but as she kind of started taking on this new life of her own, the snakes, the serpentine, like, the Medusa, just like the turn men to stone kind of femme fatale, even just that kind of thing. I definitely saw that for sure.
Y también, no sé si fue inspirada también en la diosa de México, como es Chicoacoa, que es la mujer serpiente.
La que sale en yes, and not, and you told about Mexico, maybe the Chicocoal, the serpent goddess that also obviously appear on From Dusk Till Dawn, but it's a legend, maybe in that serpent woman also.
Yeah, I mean, maybe back, like, because I know what you're talking about, and I've heard of that in Mexico, and so I mean, it could have been subconscious that I was drawing from that. I didn't even know it. So,
and then when what you inspired for doing that, yes, and what actor character in great acting, by the way, man.
Y Andrés, y la escena en la que toca la puerta, pues del cambio dice, I love you.
Yes, man. And what do you inspire to from your character? We need to know it, man, because it's a very emotional acting, man.
Yeah, I mean, inspiration came again from, I think I must have sent, I don't know how, dozens, a couple times to text to Matt and Tennille just about who this clay was. And, I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, not necessarily a drug, it doesn't have to be a drug addiction, but, addictions of even mental sorts, intrusive thoughts or depression, it's something that we can all relate to. So I think through working with these two, and then of course you get into the environment and you're playing off your co-actors and things. So it was really just trying to come up with an approach that people could resonate with, even if it wasn't, even if they hadn't dealt with, drugs specifically, or, how those addictions affect the people surrounding those, people surrounding the addicted people. So it was, I would say there's not one specific actor or not one specific character that I've based it on, but sort of an amalgamation of real life and also fictitious characters that came to life to create the Clay Huxley that we see on screen.
And Matthew, what I ask you, in complementing, because yes, in fact, the characters of this movie, I don't feel it like a copycat from any other movie. They are unique, and also with your other movie, man, I cannot compare it with any movie I had watched. But yes, how do you write that amazing character or direct or Jhon, man? He's,
yeah. Well, you start with a character in your mind that, okay, I really like this voodoo kind of, like, we start with Jhon. We're like, I really like this voodoo, like he's voodoo, and he's also kind of like, actually Jhon is short for Dionysus, the god of war, or god, not a god of war, the god of wine, the god of, god of good times.
It says,
yeah, yep, there you go. So that's actually where Jhon is short for. So initially Jhon was going to be much more of this like Greek god kind of thing. And then we kind of thought about, what if we dropped Jhon in modern times, but not so modern. We still had him in his outfit. We still had him in his top hat, but we take a character that we really like what they've done, and then we kind of just sort of turn it on its head. So where you have the character that we end up with doesn't even look like the character we started with. And that's kind of my favorite kind of thing to do.
Yo les quiero preguntar algo a ustedes sobre respecto al personaje y a todos. Hay algo que me parece interesante. El personaje de Jhon, ¿por qué no ponerlo en una historia también donde el personaje de Tennille, que es algo pues sumamente muy bueno, ¿por qué no mezclarlos a ambos? El director, que es obviamente codirector y guionista también, que es Matthew, ¿por qué no realiza algo como un universo paralelo entre ambas películas? ¿No le gustaría?
Yo quisiera decir que sí, pero no. Okay, this is another great question from Jhon and from you, Matthew. and maybe from Tennille. Being the co-writer from and co-director from If I Can Have You and the director from Chasing the Ghost, there is like a possibility of Me's character from both movies in another project.
Wait, one more time. You said there's a possibility of
Me's character, use character from this movie and from the other movie, and
no,
join it.
I mean, I don't know about that. Like, I think that I like the challenge. I'm writing something right now, and I like the challenge of like coming up with something different and new for me, because even though If I Can't Have You could have a sequel for very much, very, very much could, and Chasing the Ghost very much could have a sequel too. I just think it's just more interesting to push yourself to do different things that you haven't done before. You know what I mean? Because then you're coming up with new characters, and I do think that they exist in very similar planes, though. I do think it would be not completely out of question to do that. I just think that I would like to maybe do something new first. And maybe when my ideas I'm running out of ideas, maybe they'll do like a crossover or something like that. I don't know.
But we know that you won't run for ideas. I know you will surprise us.
Yeah, thank you.
Sobre si la escena de Dion en el carro y pues en la que solamente tenía que intentar con el suicidio, si buscó una idea a su cortometraje que es Entropy Ior, entonces no sé si haya una idea, alguna inspiración sobre eso del personaje de Dion, y más en Tennille.
Y dile que a ti te encantó ese carro.
Sí, que dónde se puede mandar una foto.
Okay.
Póster.
There is like a link or something from that scene from the car with Dion. By the way, Jhon won that car.
I love
it. And I hope he won. He became so millionaire and bring it here to Colombia and write me. Okay. There's like a connection in that scene and something that you made with your short film Entropy, or there is no connection between Entropy and this movie?
Oh, wow. You watched Entropy?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's very cool. I think that the Greek, like the whole Greek God kind of thing, that's always fascinating to me. And God's doing things that aren't very godly. That's interesting to me. And so when I'm trying to draw off character types or archetypes for characters, I go back to the heavy hitters. I always go back to the Greeks or the Romans because they knew what's up. They had the character types. And so I don't think there's a direct connection between Entropy and Chasing the Ghost, but I do think that there's the Greek connection, with Achilles, Patroclus, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that in that regard, definitely there's similarities for sure. And thanks for watching. I never thought anybody watched that.
Hay algo que quiero preguntarle a Dan, no sé, eso es algo muy gracioso y divertido, pero después va para Tennille, pero primero a Dan. ¿Crees que el personaje está como es como decir un universo alterno de que el personaje que hizo de Chartan sea como una contrariedad a Chasing Ghost? No sé, porque él fue pues algo de productor de casting y eso, pero qué tal que ese era el antiguo oficio que tenía. No sé, pienso yo una loca idea.
Dan, Jhon is crazy because he asked you somehow, do you feel that this character is like the alter ego or something for the character in Chartan?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's not so much an alter ego as just a separate aspect of the whole, the struggling human, man against himself, at odds with himself, even though he's a doctor who, supposedly will help other people. He obviously ends up, doing some serious damage to his patients, of course, his drug use, but it is that man against himself, that ancient motif where, we are not whole beings unless we confront that side of us, which is the which is the side with the demons, so to speak. Yeah.
Yo lo que digo es cuando la escena, obviamente, de la mujer serpiente y todo, es que se me hizo recordar a la escena de a Full Sin Gas. Eso es algo que nunca se me va a olvidar, de a Full Gas. Entonces no sé si, si aún queda ese pensamiento del personaje, porque todo puede pasar. De hecho, el 5 puede pasar que algunos detalles se implementen en ese personaje, no sé, por la trama, por la psicología, por la actitud. ¿Qué opinas?
And from Tennille, kind of the same question, because Jhon, when he saw you like in the transformation in this evil woman, um, do you feel like it's been linked, or do you with other characters you had played, maybe in a Full Glass or another project?
Yeah, so I feel like Angel was completely unique. I think the closest she would be to any character that I have played, it would be Diane from If I Can't Have You, because I feel like Diane kind of had two sides as well. So she played this, very innocent damsel in distress, always being stalked, but yet she killed her husband and then she beat on, Greg, Harley. And so I do feel like those are similar between the characters, but I feel like Angel was just so much more fun to play, because even though I never really thought I'd enjoy playing the antagonist, I feel like the fact that it was, something that I had to keep under wraps, it then allowed me to really over exaggerate like the nice side of Angel. So I really enjoyed, doing the staff meeting, because I felt like she was over the top happy, but that was still creepy. So yeah, she's definitely unique, but I think the most like Diane.
It seems that there's been rumors around that you seem to be getting high. An otherwise perfectly healthy family member dies during a routine procedure.
Per the board, you are under review until further notice.
I hate that you're so much better at this life thing than the guy with all the degrees. In fact, that everyone in my life has used.
And has stopped?
For the most part.
I'll grant you a birthday wish.
Wish I were never sober again.
From this day forward, you will be high until the day you die, or they die.
Clay, do you agree?
Es excelente, es bastante maravilloso. Bueno, redes sociales, invita a ver de Chasing Ghost y bueno, invita a la gente de Latinoamérica.
Okay, Tennille, you know the deal. This is the space for everybody to say your social media so people can follow you, to invite people from Latin America and over the world to watch Chasing the Ghost. And let's start with you, Tennille, and later both of you guys.
Okay, great. So for right now, Chasing the Ghost is on Tubi, which is only in North America, but maybe we can figure out a way to get it global. And if you would like to follow me, I'm the Film Chick, CHIC, on Instagram or Facebook. So I'd love to stay in touch.
So I am just Matthew Santia and on Facebook, Matthew Santia on Facebook, and at Matthew Santia on Instagram. But I really hope this movie finds an audience because it's fun, but also there's some real weight to it, and there's something real there. And I really hope it finds somebody that's struggling. And I know for me, I was struggling a long time, and this could have helped me possibly. So hopefully this finds an audience, somebody that needs it, struggling.
As I said earlier, it doesn't have to be a drug addiction. It can be addictions that we are all sometimes in our life plagued with. And I hope it does find an audience, a wider audience who maybe not interested in a drug addiction film, because it's not only a drug addiction film. It's how how your environment impacts you, how the people around you are impacted by it. And if it can garner some support in the form of a narrative, to help people through whatever they may be going through, but also to just note that it is it's not insular, it's not just the person, but it affects everyone and everything around the person. So that's where I really fell in love with it. I think it's got a really a deeper message than just supernatural or just addiction. It's how we live in the world and how our personal world affects those around us. And yeah, I just can't thank the team enough for all the support and all the opportunity, to tell the story in the way we did.
And then your social media, so people can follow you if you want it, of course.
Yeah, thank you. I think Instagram is best. It's Pesto Party. Pesto like the delicious sauce, and party as in you're having a festive party. So Pesto Party, and that's on Instagram. Thank you.
Chasing Ghost 3. Les agradezco mucho la oportunidad. Por favor, Matthew, que venga acá, solo Luchi, Jhon y los que falten acá, por favor. Y Tennille, siempre, muchas gracias. Dan, gracias.
No,
Gracias.
and in fact, Matt, not only Tennille that you know that you're always welcome here, and Dan, amazing, this is your house. Jhon wanna see the rest of the cast someday, maybe to Tennille to talk about their careers. So everybody here is welcome. Matt, we are glad to and thank that we review both of your work, both these movies. We can review everything from you, man. So no, thank you. Gracias, David, gracias.
Gracias.
No,
Thank you.
de nada. Bye bye. Ciao.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Or
Good
good day.
night.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Chao.
Nos vemos.